Bad Dreams by Brendan Crow. Sarah awoke in the middle of the night with the strangest feeling that she was being watched. Still groggy from sleep, she pulled off her covers, rolled out of bed, and switched the lights on. There was nothing out of the ordinary in her bedroom. Everything was in its place. Must have been a nightmare, she said as she stood, walked to the bathroom, and got a glass of water. Taking a few sips, she dumped the rest down the sink and then made her way back to her bed. Climbing back beneath the blankets, she switched off the light and rolled over to face the window, and immediately felt a chill run down her spine. The window next to her bed looked out into the narrow street. A single sallow street lamp provided the only light as it illuminated the spider-cracked pavement. Hers was the only occupied home on the secluded lane, with the rest of the road flanked by overgrown fields and expansive forest. She peered out of the window at the wild patch of unkempt field across the street. Someone was sitting at the far edge of the field watching her. Sarah tried not to panic as she pulled the covers up higher so that only her eyes were visible. Maybe it's just a trick of the light, she reasoned as she stared at the shadowy form. It remained motionless as it crouched in the waist-high grass. She stared at the figure for many minutes, but it never moved. Her anxiety subsiding a bit, she realized it was probably just an old stump or something. With sleep tugging at her consciousness, Sarah's eyes began to droop, then finally closed. Sarah woke again later with a feeling of unease. She opened her eyes and immediately remembered what had spooked her. The thing was still in the field, but this time it appeared to have moved closer. "No way," she whispered as she stared at the mysterious shape. Again, it didn't move. For several minutes she didn't take her eyes off it. Nothing could stay that still for that long, she finally decided before drifting back off to sleep. A few moments later, Sarah was startled back awake in a panic. Disoriented and confused, she peered outside and had to stifle a scream. The figure had moved closer. It was now at the edge of the street. Sarah could now make out more details, and what she saw terrified her. The person, or creature, had pale, almost white skin and appeared completely hairless. The top of its bald head glistened in the soft glow of the street lamp. It was short and very thin, with sinewy muscles. Although its face was concealed by shadow, Sarah had a feeling that it was looking right at her. "What the heck is that?" she thought as she wondered what she could do. Whatever it was outside, it was getting closer. She needed to get her phone and call the police. She turned her attention to the nightstand next to her bed and broke into a cold sweat as she realized that her phone was not there. "Oh no, it's still in my jeans pocket," she remembered, and her jeans were on the floor on the other side of the bed. To get to them, she would have to take her eyes off that thing and roll over. It would surely know that she was onto it. With no other choice, Sarah took a deep breath before bolting up in her bed. She quickly rolled over, reached down to the floor, grabbed her jeans, and fished through the pocket for her phone. Clutching the device in her sweaty hands, she quickly dialed 911. She didn't care if the police thought she was crazy. There was something out there watching her, and she needed help. As she put the phone to her ear, she turned around to face the window and screamed. The thing was there, and it had its horrible pale face pressed up against the window glass. Thick, bulging blue veins wormed their way through its pasty, mottled flesh. Where a nose should have been, there were only two slits. Its black eyes wide and locked on her, its mouth stretched impossibly wide, revealing hundreds of tiny, sharp teeth as it shrieked. Sarah threw herself backwards and off the bed, her head striking the hardwood floor with a loud crack. 911, what is your emergency?" came the muffled voice from her phone. It was the last thing she heard as she lost consciousness. Sarah awoke to the sound of knocking. Slowly coming to, she held her throbbing head in her hands. What the heck happened? "Ma'am, or sir, please try to hold on. An officer is on the way." Suddenly it all came back to Sarah. The window, the creature, her phone call to 911. Had she imagined it all? She felt the first pangs of embarrassment. Snatching up the phone, Sarah said, "It's okay. I think that the officer is here now. Thank you." "But ma'am," Sarah heard as she hung up. It was only a bad dream. "Ugh, this is going to be embarrassing," she said aloud as she stood up and made her way to the front door. Hopefully, the officer had a sense of humor. "Hold on, I'm coming," Sarah yelled as she unlocked the front door and drew the deadbolt. She swung the door open. "This is going to be really embarrassing, but—" Her words froze in her throat. The thing was standing on the doorstep, smiling ear to ear. It held up one impossibly long clawed finger and waved it at her mockingly as if to say, "No, no." "Oh, Sarah, you shouldn't have opened the door," it growled before it pounced.